16,000 tenants in a crisis right now, waiting for attorneys who's not getting representation. And I'm asking Judge Canntaro, why is that so? 77,500 of them lives in the Bronx. We fought for this right in 2013. We won this right in 2017. The mayor signed it into law. 82% since it was signed into law got to stay in their homes. Now, y'all sending them through the court like cattle. And this is not fair. You understand? We coming up out of a pandemic. And these kids these tenants is facing eviction. I know about that because I went through the court system for 2.5 years. I didn't owe my landlord anything. He took me through there. I'm a single parent with 5 kids. But how I was able to stay in my home, I had legal representation. And now what you're doing right now is discriminating against the law by not giving these tenants legal representation. They have a right to an attorney. We fought and we gave them this right. And why don't you honor that? All you have to do is issue an order to adjourn these cases until they get legal representation. Will you do that?
What I will say is you're absolutely correct that the New York City Council passed a law that created the availability for attorneys in housing court for tenants who couldn't afford it. And they did that with the full support of court administration. We have in the past, and we continue to this day, to support the program that gives attorneys to tenants who want one. There seems to be a problem in terms of, I think the money is there from the city, the law hasn't changed, it's a good law. There seems to be a problem with the agencies in terms of hiring attorneys and holding on to attorneys and making them available for court proceedings. We are working and meeting regularly with those agencies to understand why they're not hiring lawyers fast enough to fill the need or why they can't retain lawyers. And hopefully, and a number of solutions for that problem are on the table. And hopefully, this situation gets better from here. But a lot of it just has to do with the economics of what's going on.
So
this is a crisis.
Thank you very much for your question. If we give the judge an answer, we'd like to continue the program. Thank you. So as I was
Judge
saying...
Canntaro, 16,000 tenants in New York City are facing eviction without the right of counsel. You have the power to stop these evictions. You have the right to stop these evictions by holding off cases that don't have an attorney. Will you do that? Will you commit to holding off cases in housing court for people that don't have attorneys?
I'm going to stand on my answer. We support the provision of counsel to every tenant in housing court, and we are committed to working with legal service providers to resolving whatever problems they're facing providing those lawyers.
Is that a yes?
That's my answer.
Judge Canntaro, 16,000 tenants in New York City are in court facing eviction alone. You have the power to stop all eviction cases that don't have RTC, which is the right to counsel, which we fought for and won. You can uphold the law. You have to act now. We can't wait one more day. Will you commit stopping all eviction cases that don't have the right to counsel? Will you commit, sir?
Yes, the judge answered that.
It is important. It is important.
The judge answered that question. Thank you.
From the Bronx, the poorest district in your city. Could you please uphold the law? You have the power. Can you commit to stop all eviction until those tenants get legal representation? The bill was signed in July 2017. Can you please commit to make sure that we're not going to be in the winter time, in the cold, when you don't even have shelter?
This is my firm, and I would appreciate
that's great.
if you respected the
I would
program
appreciate if you guys would respect the fact that we're in a crisis, that there's 16,000 tenants that are going to face eviction, which is tantamount to death in the winter. What you have the power to do now is pause those 16,000 evictions. not to hand wave, not to say, oh, it's up to the nonprofits, it's a money reason, we have to allocate more money. What you need to do right now is pause the evictions. If you pause the evictions, we can come up with a way to figure out how to allocate more money, how to get more lawyers to those tenants. But what you need to do, and what you have the power to do, and what you have the moral obligation to do, is stop those evictions right now. And if you're not going to answer that, your answer is unimportant to the millions of tenants in New York City who have gone through evictions. You have the power to pause them. Will you pause them now? And we want an answer. We don't want hand waving. We don't want gesturing towards nonprofits or passing the buck to someone else. You have the power and the responsibility. Will you do it?
I'm happy to engage in this conversation, but this is not the time.
Will you do it? Will you do it? Yes or no? Will you do it? Will you pause the evictions?
You have
Will you pause the evictions?
Well, sir, I do
please.
care.
I understand you
I
care.
do care,
Are you
and I
facing
will-
eviction?
I'm asking
Are you one of those 17,000 people facing evictions in the winter?
Evictions are violence. We will not be silenced. Evictions are violent. We will not be silent.
If it wasn't for all of you out here. Happened up there. We work in unity. And we're going to fight for these tenants, and we're not going to let nobody in power stop us. When we fight, we won. When we fight, we won. When we fight, we won.